Hey, I'm recording this the day before this video is going up because I took until the last minute to finish this thing, but it was worth it. You know, major improvement from last year. Look at this garbage, you nasty stuff. Compared to this, gorgeous. You know? But anyways, I'm recording this audio as like a little bit of an artist commentary for the process of making this EXE Anniversary mega poster thing. I don't know what you would call it, but yeah, I thought it'd be a little bit of fun to do something different. Since this isn't your traditional speed paint video, I'd make this a little bit more entertaining with a little bit of dialogue from me. But before we start, I would like to give a huge shout out to the audience that actually joined me every day I worked on this. There were some usuals there that were always there to, you know, see how the progress was going, and it made the streams in progress of making this a lot more entertaining, because at the end of the day, this did take over 30 hours to make. 30 hours of my life in the span of about 2 weeks, because most of those 30 hours came in this week specifically. It's kind of crazy how much time I had to put into this. This was supposed to be my week off, you know? No school, no nothing, aside from maybe a video I gotta make, which I still had to do. But, you know, the people who were there every day, you were the reason that I was probably able to complete this on time, and actually kept me motivated. So I thank you all for making my life a little bit more entertaining. But aside from that, so the progress of this pretty much was, I'm gonna be honest, I've had the idea of at least what Xanthus was gonna be since around mid-June, late July. I've been cooking this idea for a while now, where each EXE is gonna go, which ones I want in, which ones I want out, which there were a couple of exceptions that I, you know, didn't get in, that I was kind of pissed about, because I really wanted, you know, a couple characters in that, unfortunately, there was just no space for them. I'm glad with the roster we got, don't get me wrong, but there definitely were some, definite picks that I would have liked to have had in. So starting off with the sketch here, which has been going on for a little while now, you're probably going to notice some major differences from what I did with the final product and how the product is the sketch. Mainly being that the sketch looks like dog water and is really bad. Which, yeah, no, that's just how it is. It is really bad. There are some parts where, like, don't really work even with, like, the quills and stuff. Like, for example, you know, rewrite. One of the quills is like looking really weird. I don't know why I did that. Xanthus is looking really weird. Xanthus always looked really weird though until I really coloring, so I don't know if you're watching this, I'm sorry I almost screwed up your character. But the main reason I did Xanthus the way I did is because originally that was where Xeno was, and now Xeno is in the ring, you know, yada yada so and such, right? So that was my reasoning behind putting Xeno there. But overall, I would say this was a really fun experience. You know, I'm glad I got the finished product, you know, looking really good. And especially because of the fact that I think for the most part, this is going to be my last actual serious EXE piece of artwork. Sure, I may do art here and there for maybe a mod video, or if I really, really want to. But for the most part this year, I haven't really touched anything EXE related. And it was mainly so I could save all my creative juices for this. But also because, you know, there hasn't really been much new and exciting, you know, original content, because that's what I look for when I look for an EXE mod to play. I look for original or fun content, which isn't all that common, as many people in the Friday Night Funkin community know. That is to say, this isn't a Friday Night Funkin specific piece of art. Sure, Friday Night Funkin has a major influence on what characters I picked and what were in, what wasn't, so and such, right? You know, like, I wouldn't know what a rewrite is or what a fatal error is if it wasn't for, you know, FNF here. But this is more of a celebration of EXE in general, with a little bit of FNF sprinkled in, like Final Escape with Encore BF and regular BF, and obviously Game Breaker with Pico. But, you know, they aren't the main focus of this. Oh yeah, there was another executive decision I made pretty early on, which was that while Metal and Xanthus were obviously both based on Nominal's version of Triple Trouble, you know, the fighters, I did not base Knuckles, Eggman, or Tails on those designs, just because I feel like the original Triple Trouble ones are A, more iconic, and B, I kind of wanted to get a redo after this, like, almost 2-year-old piece of art that I made. That was the last time I drew them, so I figured I'd get a rework on that and make it look nice and good, you know? Honestly, the hardest part about sketching this was making sure that every EXE had a place where they fit and where they weren't taking up too much space, but they also weren't crowding too much space. Unless they got my bias, because I like that EXE a lot. You know, aka, you know, Fatal, No More Innocence, Sunky. They obviously got a big part in this, but that's just because I like, you know, I like the character. I think the design is cool. Sunky is just a little goober, and I love it. Also, I would like to, you know, mention this at some point in the commentary here, but if your favorite EXE wasn't included in the thing, it's not because I hate your EXE or I didn't want it in. Most of the time, it was just because I didn't have space for it, or I didn't have, you know, the time or whatever. There were some exceptions to this, like, for example, I know some people are gonna complain, where's Wakidna? I don't like Wakidna. I'm gonna be honest. It has nothing to do with, oh, controversy this, controversy that. I just don't like Wakidna's design, and I didn't really want it. You know, I know there are Wakidna fans out there. I apologize for that. I just personally don't like the guy. You know, like, for example, I'm letting you know now, there really wasn't bias when there came to this. It's just whether or not I like the EXE's design and I wanted to draw it. Like, for example, the only bias pick in this entire thing was Monica.exe. I can guarantee you that it was the only bias pick. It wasn't really a bias pick last year because it was still a pretty relevant EXE. You know, I personally like the EXE. Yes, that is my DDLC bias shining through, but that is the only case of it. I didn't really show bias anywhere else. I tried to keep the characters to a minimum. For like the D-Sides gang, you know, obviously I didn't, you know, Mighty, Tanema, Godsey, Mighty. You know, I figured you gotta have the Majin and Unused synergy, Majin and Unused. So, you know, my official answer as to why there are two Majins is the one next to Xanthus is Majin, and the one next to Rewrite is Mazin, which technically is the canonical version of Majin. So, you know, since Rewrite is picking out the most popular characters here, the canonical version of Majin would probably be the one Rewrite would pick out. Just a little bit of spitballing of why, you know, even like a reason, like an in-universe reason. Oh yeah, another idea I've had since like June or July was Fatal and No More Innocence coming out of the TV. Originally, the plan was to have No More Innocence and Mazin from 024, but I eventually decided against that. A, because I didn't want a third Majin, and B, because I feel like having Mazin be next to Rewrite, you know, for like the Trinity synergy, you know, that made more sense, and I also just felt that it would be a better place to put Fatal. You know, both coming out of the TV screen. It makes no sense, honestly, when I think about it now. But in my mind, I thought it would have looked really cool. And I mean, it does look pretty good. So I do have to apologize to Fleetway fans. I did your boy dirty. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I love Fleetway. I really do. He's honestly, like, he's not an EXE, so I can't say he's one of my favorite EXEs. But if he really was an EXE, he would definitely be my favorite. I love Fleetway, bro. His design, his concept of like a corrupt supersonic, and the fact that he's like this dude was in Sega licensed material, that is like why I love him so much. If this was like a fan-made design of like, what if Supersonic turned evil, I wouldn't love him nearly as much. It's pretty much the equivalent of what if Sans was edgy and he got Underfell. You know, it's like, I don't like it as much as if it was like a canonical evil version of Sans, you know? Like, if that's what Fell was, I think I'd love him a lot more. But like, that's kind of like the situation with Fleetway. He's the canonical evil version of Supersonic, and that's why I love him so much. But yeah, I apologize, because like, from this year to last year, like, talk about a downgrade. But honestly, other than that, this was a fun experience. I had fun making this. Not so much fun crunch time, even though I did start this like at the beginning of the month. But, you know, a crunch time still wound up striking, even though I really didn't want it to. So, at the end of the day, this was fun, but would I like to do it again? In the crunch time? Definitely not. But maybe if there's a resurgence in EXE, which, honestly, let's be honest, the only way I'd know is from Friday Night Funkin', and God knows we do not need more Friday Night Funkin' EXE. We've had enough for a lifetime. But if some new interesting concepts come out, and there are a lot of new characters I want to draw, maybe I'll expand it and make it larger. If I did, the first picks getting in would definitely be Secret History's Sonic to go with Tails, and definitely drawing Sarah next to Needle Mouse. Because that was something that a chatter recommended. It was a really good idea. I just unfortunately could not include it in the time. I mean, the worst part is I even had the space just to try to make like a silhouette of Sarah, but that kind of sucks. Or also, maybe I'd add in the current iteration that Shut Up JoJo's working on. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. This was just a fun little thing to do. A little 30 hours, it's definitely not a little thing to do. But until next time, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.